Have you ever had big dreams, but your life has stayed exactly the same? You know you want to succeed. You know you are capable of more. You have promised yourself many times that you would finally begin. But whenever it is time to take action, you stop. You tell yourself, I'll do it tomorrow. And that one sentence, repeated day after day, is quietly stealing your future. This is the story of a young man named Kian. Kian lived in a small town on the side of a mountain. He had skillful hands and a dream of becoming the best carpenter in the region. He often told his friends, "One day, my workshop will be famous. Workshop will be famous. People will come to me for the finest wooden furniture." But there was one problem. Kian talked, but he did not act. While other carpenters woke up early, opened their workshops, sharpened their tools, cut wood, and started working, Kian was still lying in bed. He heard the sound of hammers echoing through the street. He knew he should get up, but he pulled the blanket closer and told himself, just a little more rest. A little more became an hour. An hour became the whole morning, and another day passed without anything changing. Kian's workshop became covered in dust. His tools hung on the wall, untouched. Pieces of wood lay silently in the corner. His sketches were scattered across the table, but not a single piece of furniture had been completed. Kian had a dream, but that dream was slowly dying because of his procrastination. If you have ever had many plans but kept delaying them, comment 1 below. Comment 1 to remind yourself, I do not want my dream to die because of procrastination. One afternoon, while Kian was sitting in front of his workshop and talking about his bright future, an old voice spoke behind him. If words could turn into furniture, you would already own a whole store. Kian turned around. It was Master Soren, the oldest and most respected carpenter in town. He stepped into Kian's workshop and looked around. He saw pieces of wood that had never been cut. He saw tools covered in dust. He saw drawings that had never become real products. Then he asked, Kian, you say you want to become the best carpenter in the region. So why is your workshop so silent, as if no dream has ever been started here? Kian lowered his head and replied, I will begin tomorrow. Master Soren sighed. He took 2 small pieces of wood from his bag. One piece was bright, strong, and beautiful. The other was dark, weak, and already showing signs of decay. He placed them on the table and said, This bright piece of wood is like your ambition. If you shape it every day, it can become something valuable. Then he pointed to the dark piece of wood. But this one is like procrastination. At first, it does not look dangerous, but if you ignore it, the decay will spread. By the time you notice it, it may already be too late. He looked at Kian and continued, For the next 7 days, keep these 2 pieces of wood in your workshop. Every day, you must choose which one you will work with. The one you choose to keep close will show you your future. Kian was sure he would choose the bright piece of wood. But on the first day, he overslept. On the second day, he said he did not have the perfect design yet. On the third day, he said he was not in the right mood. On the fourth day, he cleaned the table a little and then gave up. On the fifth day, he only sat and stared at his tools. By the 6th day, the bright piece of wood was almost untouched. The decaying piece of wood was lying in a damp corner of the workshop. Kian thought, I am not touching it, so it should not matter. but he was wrong. On the seventh morning, Kian opened the door of his workshop and froze. A damp, rotten smell filled the air. The dark piece of wood had decayed even more. Woodworms had begun spreading from it to the work table, and the bright piece of wood had also started to show tiny marks. Kian picked it up in shock. At that moment, he understood. Procrastination does not only ruin one day. It weakens your discipline. It blurs your dream. It makes you lose faith in yourself. Every time Kian said, "I'll do it tomorrow," he thought he was only taking a break. But in truth, he was allowing woodworms to crawl into his future. If you have ever let procrastination damage too many opportunities in your life, comment 2 below. Comment 2 to remind yourself, I will not let procrastination eat away at my future anymore. Just then, Master Soren walked in. He did not scold Kian. He simply looked at him and said, "Talent does not disappear in one day. A dream does not die in a single moment. They are eaten away each time you believe you still have plenty of time." Kian remained silent. Master Soren continued, "You have hands, you have tools, you have youth, you have time, and you have a dream. What you lack is not opportunity. What you lack is the discipline to begin." Then he said the sentence Kian would never forget. You did not fail because your dream left you. You failed because you left your dream alone for too long. That night, Kian could not sleep. He thought about all the days he had wasted, the mornings he had slept in, the drawings he had never finished, the promises he had never kept. For the first time, he was afraid. Not afraid of failure. He was afraid that one day he would look back and realize he had the ability, but he had never truly used it. He whispered to himself, I cannot let my future be eaten away by the word tomorrow anymore. The next morning, Kian woke up while the town was still covered in mist. He did not wait for motivation. He did not wait for someone to remind him. He did not wait for a perfect day. He walked into his workshop. He cleaned the damp corner. He carried the decaying wood outside. He wiped the work table. He sharpened his tools. And for the first time in a long time, he placed the bright piece of wood on the table and began to work. That day, Kian did not create a masterpiece. He only made the first cut. But it was the most important cut of his life, because it proved that he had finally begun. From that day on, Kian returned to his workshop every morning. Some days he made mistakes. Some days his work failed. Some days he was tired and wanted to quit. But he kept going. One stroke of the chisel, one mistake corrected after another, one day of effort after another. Slowly, Kian's workshop began to change. There was less dust. The tools became brighter. The old drawings turned into real furniture. Then one day, a customer stopped in front of his workshop and asked, "Did you make this chair? I want to buy it." It was not the biggest order in town. But for Kian, it was the moment he understood something important. Small actions, repeated long enough, can create great results. From one chair came a table, then a cabinet, then more orders. The workshop that had once been silent became a place people visited when they wanted furniture made with care. When people asked Kian how he had changed, he simply smiled and said, "I did not succeed because I talked more. I only started working every day, even on the days when I did not feel like it." Kian's story is not just about a carpenter. It is about all of us. Inside you, there is also a precious piece of wood. It is your talent, your dream, the future you could create. But inside you, there is also something like woodworms. That is procrastination. It does not destroy you immediately. It only makes you rest a little longer. Wait one more day. Miss one more opportunity. And if you let it happen long enough, it will quietly eat away at your life. So do not only ask, do I have a dream? Ask yourself, what have I done today to make that dream real? You do not need to change your whole life in one day. You only need to begin with one small action, one thing done today, one promise you no longer delay, one step forward, even if it is not perfect. Because life does not change through big promises. Life changes through small actions repeated every day. Keon's story ends here. But the question for you remains. Will you keep waiting today, or will you finally take one small step toward your dream? If this story made you think, please hit like to save this reminder for yourself. And if you enjoy short stories with meaningful lessons like this, please subscribe so we can meet again in the next story. Thank you for listening. Do not let procrastination eat away at your dream for one more day.